They called it the Silence. Across half a galaxy, there was nothing, no signals, no radio broadcasts, no starship traffic, just that emptiness, stretching for light years. And every silence is a warning dot deep in the Galactic Council chamber. Dozens of strange alien delegates sat silent. Their eyes glowed faintly in the darkened room. A single upright projection flickered at the far wall, a real-time feed from Earth's system. The council speaker cleared his throat. "We have intercepted a transmission from Earth 3 hours ago." A single line of speech, no visuals, no context. He paused. It said, "We are sending him." Murmurs echoed through the chamber. Tentacles brushed metal tablets. Wings flapped. One delegate hissed, This is not surrender. It is not threat." Then what on earth? The soil was scarred from years of war. Cities lay in ruin, burned by sunlight and panic. But in one hidden bunker there was calm. Beneath reinforced steel doors, deep below the desert sands, a man slept in a cryo chamber. He trained for this moment. This was not the beginning of war, it was the end of hesitation. They called him Captain Rayon Creed. The bunker's alarms were silent, no sirens blared. Instead, soft lights pulsed in rhythm, like a heartbeat reawakening. The cryo chamber hissed open. Rayon's eyes opened. Dark brown irises reflected the blue Thor lights. He sat up, breathing air that smelled metallic, like old blood. He saw a masked technician by his side, watching monitors. The technician unsealed his suit. "Welcome back, Captain." The voice was calm but tired. "Earth Command has a priority. Mission for you." Rayon nodded. His hand brushed the cryo-seal scars on his neck. He remembered nothing else. His last memory was leaving for training. Now everything else was just noise. He stood, his suit folded around him as he stepped out of the chamber. In the council, delegates whispered. One diplomat, tall and bilious, said Earth's single-man strategy. So bizarre. Another drummed his claws. They claim this one is unstoppable. A single soldier representing all of them. Foolish. But another voice cut through. We have proof. He or someone destroyed the orbital defense grid around Proxima Centauri 3 minutes. That can only be Rayon Creed. The footage showed a fiery chain reaction, signal towers collapsing like dominoes in space. Council records confirmed only Earth-built nanobombs could do that. The speaker turned pale. He's not a soldier. He's a weapon. On Earth, Rayon stood before a long table, a single emblem etched into it, the Earth Army symbol, a fist over a globe. Around the table, 8 senior officers watched him with grave eyes. General Emily, her face stern but compassionate, stepped forward. "Captain Creed, the galaxy fears us, but they fear you more." She slid a hollow projector across the table. It showed a wormhole map with one point glowing, the alien communication hub on planet Varkas 11. "Our intel, they plan to invade Earth. Their scouts are moving now. We don't know their strength. You are our first and only chance." Rayon watched. He saw outlines, troop drops, command ships, decoy satellites. He knew that data meant nothing. Numbers and coordinates could not weigh the cost. He nodded. "Your mission," General Lee said, voice low, "is to break their communication, disable their hub, send a message back to the council." She paused. "Then come home, if you survive." Rayon's lips pressed together. His voice was cold. "Understood." A transport ship awaited. It hummed lightly, lights shining red inside its low-ceiling cargo bay. Rayon boarded. 2 soldiers saluted. None of them spoke. He found a corner and sat. His suit chilled him. He closed his eyes, feeling every pound on his back. He replayed fragments, explosions, higher gravity chambers, survival drills. They had trained him to carry that weight. They reached orbit. Rayon paused at the viewport. Earth looked like a wounded marble blue ocean streaked with brown scars, swirl of clouds hiding the damage. He let his hand brush the cold window. Told him, "You're going in alone. Support ships will stay back." He nodded. That the wormhole opened like a wound in space. Stars smeared into lines of light. The ship went forward alone. Rayon closed his eyes. Only the hum surrounded him, a lullaby of transit. Then silence and light. The backdrop of space gave way to Varkas 11's system, a planet covered in gray clouds, red lightning. The comms hub glow was green in the dark. It floated above the planet's magnetic field. The transport aligned. Rayon stepped into the shuttle. The door sealed. He activated his HUD. A map lit up. He checked suit systems. All green. He unlatched himself. Stepped through the airlock. Cold, sharp wind whipped as he stepped onto the platform. Alien runes glowed around him. Towers shot into the sky. The hub pulsed with energy, cables wrapping into the clouds. He breathed through his suit. No distractions. Focus. He moved quickly, feet silent. He knew where to plant the device. Nano incendiary. Bundo. He slipped past guard stall, many-limbed creatures with glowing eyes and rifles. They didn't see him until he was 5 meters away. Rayon didn't stop. He sprinted. Lights flashed. He dove behind a tower base. Bullets rung out like bells. He crawled, rose, turned, fired. His weapon low caliber, high velocity. He hit one in the shoulder. The creature stumbled. He ran to the base of the tower, planted the device, punched coordinates. A timer appeared. 3-minute countdown. He backed off. The troops closed in. Rayon sprinted toward the shuttle. Grenades exploded nearby. Dust rose. He dived in as a plasma blast rocked the shuttle's boarding ramp. He sealed the door. Lights dimmed. The engine kicked. He heard the base tear in half. He watched as the tower ignited. Green flame consumed it from core outward. Data towers crashed. Cables severed, sparks flew. Red clouds lit up. He spoke into message sent. His voice calm. He slid from the floor and faced the VIEWPORT. Below. The mountain of data fell. No silence, only destruction. In the council. Alarms sounded. Screens flickered. The message came in. Alien hub at Varcus 11 destroyed. Minute after minute, the feed showed nothing but fire. The hub shattered like crystal. Silence returned. Everyone stared. A delegate whispered, "The Earth soldier. He did it." Another replied, "He sends one message, and we bow to listen." In the shuttle cabin, Rayon closed his eyes. He could feel the weight, the guilt, the blood, the consequences. He thought of Earth, their last message. "We are sending him." He wondered what they really meant. He touched the small device on his chest, a tiny globe with Earth's flag etched around it. He remembered General Lee's face, confidence pressed behind tired eyes. Then a chime. Incoming transmission. Command request. Captain Creed. Report. His voice steady. Done. Incoming orders shortly. Return to drop-off point. Rayon waited, breathing softly. His heart beat like war drums in his chest. He gazed at the shattered hub. In the darkness beyond, lightning flickered. He whispered to himself, "They thought Earth was soft. They thought we would beg. Now they know. Better." He closed his visor. The shuttle flew silent above the scorched ruins of Varcus 11's hub. Rayon Creed sat still inside the dark cabin. Lights flashed soft red over his face, shadows crawling across the edges of his helmet. He wasn't sleeping. He never did, since the final phase of training. Instead, he stared forward, mind calculating, watching his hands, not shaking, not tired, ready. Earth Command's voice came through his earpiece. "Captain Creed, new directive. High priority site on biome type hazard class 5, terrain, jungle, native fauna, aggressive threat level, red." There was a pause. "You're not being sent to destroy, you're being sent to hunt." Rayon said nothing. "Surveillance confirms presence of elite alien hunting squad. They're tracking you." He responded only once. "Good, let them." Far across the stars, on planet Jerix 4, rain fell in thick sheets. The jungle was black with sharp trees and glowing insects. The soil pulsed faintly red from underground heat vents. The air was heavy, wet, burning, and full of electricity. A silver escape pod sliced through the clouds like a blade. It smashed into the jungle floor, sending steam and mud into the air. Rayon stepped out, rifle in hand. His boots sank into the soft, hissing ground. His visor adjusted instantly to the low light and toxic air. Vines tried to move. He sliced them without slowing. He whispered, "Earth sends its regards." Far above, orbiting Jerix 4, a command ship floated. Inside, alien warriors stood around a glowing table. They were tall, armored in bone metal plating, eyes black and wide. These were elite trackers of the Tarak species, hunters who'd never lost a target. The leader, Varka, snarled, "Human has landed. Alone, primitive weapon systems. No armor, signature." Another tracker laughed. "Easy prey." Varka held up a hand. "Fool. This one destroyed Varcus 11 alone. He's not prey, he's the test." They activated their neural links and leaped into their drop pods. On the jungle floor, Rayon moved like a ghost. Quiet, precise, unafraid. His HUD flashed warnings, hostile movement, biosigns, magnetic fields shifting. The jungle around him was alive, angry, and watching. Suddenly, a sharp noise. He turned just as a net fired from the Tress plasma threads glowing blue. It missed his head by inches. He dived and rolled. From the canopy, to hunters dropped, sharp teeth flashing. He didn't shoot. He waited. The first one charged, spear raised. Rayon ducked under the strike, slammed the hunter's own weapon into its throat, and pulled the trigger. The second one paused, but too late. Rayan's pistol flashed twice. The body dropped, smoke rising. He whispered, to down. High above, Varkar received the signal. He's engaging us, one hunter muttered. He's not running, Varkar growled. Then we don't chase, we bleed him out. They deployed the sensor mine, small floating orbs with chemical scent readers, heat trackers, movement detectors. In the death jungle, no creature escaped them, except one. Rayon watched one of the mines pass him, unaware. He'd covered himself in crushed jungle fruit, used old blood from one of the dead hunters. He learned from Earth's worst. He learned to vanish. He climbed a tree with silent steps. From the top he saw the alien camp, just a temporary base but full of high-end tech. Scanners, medpods, power cells. He smiled. He climbed down. Time to set traps. Over the next 2 hours, Rayon became the jungle. He left false tracks, placed noise beacons, lured creatures to hunter positions. He didn't just fight the aliens, he weaponized their own fear. One by one, the hunters found their men missing. One was pulled underground by a native creature right after Rayon had led it there. Another stepped on a silent landmine from the bones of his fallen friend, set with their own tech. Every death sent a message. He wasn't just surviving, he was sending fear back up the chain. Varkar snarled. He's using the planet against us. Another tracker trembled. He knows our tech, our traps, because he's from a death world, Varkar said. We hunt. He becomes a hunt. Night fell, and the jungle howled. The last 2 hunters stuck close together, eyes scanning in all directions. Rain fell hard, fog rising off the ground. They heard something, a whisper, a voice, not in their language, in his. I'm behind you. They turned. Only one of them survived the next 5 seconds. He ran through the jungle, gasping, wounded. He activated his emergency beacon. Commander, extract me, please. Then his screen flickered. A voice on his calm human voice. Rayons, tell your leaders, Earth is not prey. We are not weak. We are what you made us. The screen cut off. The last pod launched into orbit. The lone survivor collapsed at Varkar's feet, bleeding and shaking. He's deaf. He's not human. Varkar said nothing. He only opened his claw and dropped a single item onto the floor. It was a metal tag. Human dog tag, it read. Creed. Rayan, Deathworld UNITARTH. Meanwhile, deep in the jungle, Rayon stood at the center of the burning alien camp. Equipment destroyed. Signals jammed. Mission complete. He looked at the jungle and spoke quietly. Let them come. I'll wait. Then he walked away alone, back into the mist, like he was part of it, and far across the stars, on council screens. News broke. Elite Tarak Squad, eliminated on Jerax 4. Single human responsible. The delegates stared. One said, we are not fighting a man, we are fighting Earth's answer. Another replied, and that answer is terrifying. The message echoed across the galaxy. Tarok, Elite Squad, eliminated. Cause 1 human. Name, Rayon Creed, species Deathworlder. In the deep space core of the Zalvan Confederacy, a meeting was held. Not in a grand hall, not in a council room, but in a war chamber shaped like a pit, where warriors stared down at digital flames showing Earth's soldier. He's not a weapon, growled a gray-skinned warlord. He is strategy itself. And now, he hunts us. An insectoid commander. Hissed what he did on Jerax 4, the planet eats armies. But he survived. Alone, no backup, no Another voice, cold and mechanical, spoke from a large orb on the ceiling. We cannot allow this to continue. He makes us look weak. There was only one solution. Send in the hunters. They called them the Vorak vultures. Not because they flew, not because they scavenged, but because they waited until the target bled, then tore it apart. This was the Confederacy's most elite assassin unit. Trained in every environment, cloned to be emotionless, and more importantly designed to kill. Deathwelders. Back on Earth, Command received a silent code. Rayon's last signal from Jerax 4 had stopped. Not lost, not broken, just off. Commander Lee stared at the screen. He's gone dark. The room was still. A junior officer asked, should we send recon? Lee shook her head. No, he knows what he's doing. If Creed goes dark, it means he wants to be hunted. On the icy planet of Lether Prime, a dark figure moved through frozen ruins. Rayan's boots cracked ancient ice. His breath steamed inside the helmet. He looked up at the night sky, 3 moons circling. He'd chosen this place. Here he would wait. And when the hunters arrived, he would be ready. The vultures landed silent. No ships visible, no sound, just sudden motion in the snow. footprints that appeared and vanished. They had one rule: never speak. Their weapons were quiet, no lights, no energy, just old, sharp tools and poisoned steel. They searched for the human. They didn't know he had already found them. The first fell quietly, a tripwire in a canyon buried under ice. When it snapped, the rocks above dropped like hammers. The second walked into a heat trap one Rayon built using broken alien power cores. It melted the snow beneath, swallowing the assassin whole. The third was allowed to see him. Just for a second, Rayon stood in the storm, outlined by the moons, unmoving, no weapon in hand, just standing. The hunter lunged and fell into a pit, his screams swallowed by the wind. Back at the Confederacy war chamber, a screen flashed red. Signal lost. Vulture unit, no response. One general slammed a claw into the table. This is not war, this is humiliation. The insectoid hissed. He's turning our own tactics against us. Every time we send elite forces, he uses the terrain, studies our tech, and then erases them. The mechanical orb whispered. Then we don't send soldiers. The others turned to listen. We send civilians. Back on Letha Prime, Rayon stood over the last vulture. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. He simply left a message in the snow beside the body. Not words, just a drawing, a skull, and the symbol of Earth. 3 days later, on a peaceful trade planet called Nerox, something strange happened. Civilian transports exploded. But not from human attack. No. The Confederacy did it themselves. To frame Earth. They broadcast fake footage, human-looking weapons, doctored images of Creed's armor. The message: Earth has gone rogue. Rayon Creed has turned terrorist. They used their lie to justify war, but they forgot something. Rayon was watching, hidden in a cargo vessel. Creed watched the broadcasts. He didn't react, just closed his eyes, then stood. It was time to send a message. Again, on the planet near, a building exploded. But no one was killed, just one target, a Confederacy data server used to forge the evidence. And at the center of the rubble, a symbol carved into the wall, the same skull, and a message beneath it: I hunt monsters, not children. RC. The Confederacy was forced to admit the truth. The footage was fake. Earth denied all involvement, and Rayon Creed had just defeated them with words, not weapons, back on Earth. Commander Lee smiled for the first time in weeks. He's not just a soldier anymore, she said. He's a signet, one officer whispered. To who? Lee looked at the stars. To anyone watching. That Earth doesn't run, it answers. On a small outpost, in a bar filled with mercenaries, a large four-eyed warrior sat down. He wore the armor of a bounty hunter. But tonight, he took it off. Another bounty hunter asked him, You still going after the Earthman? The four-eyed warrior shook his head. You kidding, he said. No one hunts like him. They feared him, not because he had power, but because they gave him a reason to fight. And now the galaxy was learning the price of that mistake. The Confederacy tried everything to stop the spread of his name. They shut down news relays, paid off reporters, declared him rogue, traitor, terrorist. But his story didn't need screens. It traveled in whispers, between bounty hunters at bars, among smugglers who saw the signs he left behind, and the eyes of civilians who saw their so-called protectors crumble. His name was spoken carefully, like a warning. Rayon Creed, the man Earth sent when peace had failed, the man who turned hunters into prey. On the moon colony of Herix 9, the Confederacy set a trap, not for Rayon but for his reputation. That they chose a village, small, peaceful, poor, and they destroyed it. They used Earth-style weapons again, left Earth flags in the rubble. They even forced a few human prisoners to make it look real. The footage spread fast. Earth massacres Herix 9 across the galaxy. Some were shocked, some angry, but most stayed silent because fear is easier than truth. Back on an abandoned warship floating near a dead star, Rayon sat alone, watching the fake footage. He didn't speak, didn't blink. He simply stood, checked his rifle, and walked out on Herix 9. A group of Confederacy officers celebrated quietly. Their plan had worked. Public pressure was rising. Earth was being blamed, and Rayon gone dark again. Or so they thought. That night the officers vanished one by one. No alarms, no signs of struggle, just gone until one was found. Stripped of armor, hanging upside down in a burned-out building, a message carved into the wall. Tell the truth. The Confederacy tried to keep it quiet. They failed. The soldier's body was broadcast by a local channel before it was taken down, and something terrifying happened. People started asking questions. What if the human didn't do this? What if the real monster wears our flag? On a neutral trade world, a group of ex-Confederacy soldiers gathered in secret. They had all survived previous missions. They had all heard the rumors. One of them stood, holding a data chip. It's all here, he said. Proof the Herrick's attack was fake. We have footage, audio, everything. Another asked, you plan to leak it? The man nodded. And from the corner of the room, a voice said, you won't have to. They turned. Rayon stood in the shadows. No gun raised. Just watching. Give it to me, he said. I'll make sure they hear it. They gave him the chip without hesitation because they knew what he was becoming, more than a soldier, more than a name, a storm that justice rode in on. 2 days later, every major screen in the galaxy was hijacked. The message was simple. Unedited. Raw. Confederacy. Officers laughing as they planned the Herrick's massacre blamed the human, one said. Let them hate him. Fear gives us control. Then the screen cut to a black background. White words appeared. Fear has a price. RC. Riots broke out, not on Earth but on the Confederacy's own worlds. Civilians rose. Soldiers laid down weapons. Even allies began to turn, not because Earth had armies, not because Creed had weapons, but because lies, once exposed, spread like fire. And in that fire, truth burned brightest. Back on Earth, Commander Lee stood before the council. This was never about one man, she said. It was about what they fear he represents. A general asked, what does he represent? Lee looked him in the eye. Proof that we are not afraid. Meanwhile, Rayon moved through the stars like a shadow. He left no trail, no base, no command center, but he left signs. Confederacy prisons emptied. Slave markets burned. War. Factories disabled. Always without warning, always without mercy, and always the same mark left behind. The skull. The Confederacy grew desperate. They hired bounty guilds, offered entire planets in reward. Some sent mercenary fleets, none returned. Soon, even the bounty boards removed his name. Not out of loyalty, out of fear. Because every time they spoke it, someone died. And still, he hunted, not the innocent. Not the weak, but those who built systems of cruelty. And those who fed them in time. The Confederacy began to change, not because they wanted to, but because Ray and Creed gave them no choice. Laws shifted. Corrupt leaders vanished. Camps were shut down. The people began to hope again, not because peace was offered, but because someone made injustice bleed. And in all that change, no one ever truly found him. Some say he lives alone, deep in the asteroid belts. Some say Earth never knew where he went. Some say he died long ago and his name became a ghost. But the smart ones know the truth. He's still out there watching, waiting, because the galaxy hasn't learned yet that fear always has a price. The stars had gone quiet. No fleets. No soldiers. No broadcasts. Just silence. Not peace. Fear, because somewhere out there, Ray and Creed was still alive, and no one knew where he'd strike. Next. The Confederacy had stopped speaking his name. They erased files, deleted records, told new soldiers he was a myth. But deep down, they knew the truth. He was real. And worse. He had become more than a man. He had become a ghost, across forgotten corners of the galaxy. Rumors spread like fire. A pirate crew attacks a refugee convoy only to vanish in the night. A slave mine on Zorath 7 shuts down after its guards are found tied to their own cages. A corrupt general's ship is found drifting, crew missing, systems dead. No explosions, no battles, just silence and fear. And always the same message carved somewhere in steel. We are not prey. In a hidden room deep inside Earth Command, Commander Lee stared at a transmission. Encrypted. No origin. No voice. Just one line of text. I need to speak for Earth. RC. The next day, a secret meeting was held. No media. No politicians. Only Earth's quiet leaders. The ones who made the decisions the world never saw. Commander Lee stood at the center. We all know who he is, she said. What he's done. A senator shook his head. He's uncontrollable. Dangerous. We never ordered those missions. Did we have to? Lee asked. Silence. He became what they forced us to become, she continued. A mirror. One they can't stand to look at. Another voice. Older.com. And now he wants to speak for us. Lee nodded. Then let him. Somewhere in deep space, an old listening station came online. Only one signal was sent. Only one voice was broadcast. Human.com. Clear. Rayan Creed. I'm not here to threaten, he said. I'm not here to beg. I'm here to remind the galaxy who we are. He paused. When Earth first reached the stars, they saw us as weak, loud, divided, small. Another pause. They were wrong. The broadcast continued, but not just through Earth's systems. No, it spread far beyond. Through Black markets. Pirate channels. Confederacy. Data webs, because Rayan didn't send it to Earth. He sent it from Earth to the galaxy. We don't seek war, his voice said, but we won't run from it. We don't conquer, but we don't forget. Across hundreds of worlds, screens lit up. People stopped to watch. Soldiers froze mid-patrol. Prisoners cried, because the ghost had spoken. I never wanted to be a weapon, Creed said, but you made me one. And now, I speak for every human who was called weak, for every colony you threatened, for every child who looked up and saw only fear in the stars. He breathed in, and I say this: if you touch Earth again, if you threaten what we love, I won't ask for help, I won't wait for orders, I'll come alone. The final words were quiet, chilling, and unforgettable, and I'll remind you why you should have left us alone. The signal cut. Silence followed, but not for long, because that message changed everything. On the Confederacy homeworld, chaos broke out in the war halls. What does he mean, speak for Earth? A diplomat yelled. Does he have official command? No, said the supreme strategist. That's worse. They stared at him. He explained. He doesn't lead Earth, but Earth follows him now. In the shadows of power, new alliances began forming. Smaller species once scared of Earth started reaching out. Maybe humans aren't the threat, they said. Maybe they're the shield. In a distant outpost, a group of captured human engineers were released by a road captain. He left them a simple message. Your ghost spoke. We listened. Even inside the Confederacy, soldiers began questioning orders. Some refused to attack Earth's ships. Some leaked documents. A few even defected, because they didn't fear Earth's armies anymore, they feared his name. Rayon Creed didn't appear again for weeks. No sightings. No attacks. But the galaxy had changed, because now they knew he could be anywhere. And because, for the first time, Earth didn't feel small anymore. Back at Earth Command, Commander Lee watched the stars from her window. An officer approached. Do you think he went too far? He asked. Lee didn't answer at first. She looked at the sky. Then whispered. He didn't go far enough. In a hidden sector near a dying sun, a lone figure walked across a burnt landscape. Rayan Creed. Alive. Silent. Watching. Waiting. Because the war wasn't over. Not yet. But the galaxy had finally heard the voice of a ghost, and that voice had spoken one truth louder than any weapon. Earth will never kneel. Earth had changed, not because of peace, but because of fear. Not their fear, ours. IAIN. Creed's message echoed across the galaxy. Allies turned, enemies backed down. Earth's name gained weight, but power always casts a shadow, and somewhere in that shadow, a new enemy was growing, not from another world, from our own. They called themselves the Purity Directive. Not an army, not a government, an idea. They believed Earth had outgrown the galaxy, that we didn't need allies, that we didn't need diplomacy, just dominance. And they used Creed's name to push it forward. Flyers appeared in colonies. We are Deathworlders. We kneel to none. Recruitment ads flooded the net. Creed walked alone. Now we rise together. Young soldiers signed up, thinking they were defending Earth. They didn't know they were building a bomb. Commander Lee saw it coming. She called an emergency meeting at Earth Command. This isn't what Rayan stood for, she warned. He fought to protect us, not rule the stars. But others disagreed. He proved we are strong, said a general. The galaxy fears us now. Why not use that fear? Lee leaned forward. Because once you use fear, it owns you. Somewhere on a deep space colony, a transmission went out. Encrypted. Odell codes. It reached no one, except one. In the dark. Rayon Creed watched the screen. No words. Just a symbol. Earth's flag. Distorted. Burning. He knew what it meant. It wasn't an alien threat. It was worse. It was home turning on itself. The Purity Directive had grown bold. They sabotaged peace talks with friendly alien races. They attacked an ambassador shuttle, blaming pirates. They began training sleeper cells on outer colonies, and everywhere they went, they left Creed's mark. The skull, but twisted. Broken. Wrong. Rayan. Returned. Not with guns. Not with ships. Alone. And angry. He walked into a directive camp on Mars's shadow side. No alarms, no resistance. The guards stepped aside. They knew the myth. They'd painted his face on their walls. Worshipped his name like a flag. He walked straight to their leader, a man named Vaughn Callis, a former soldier, now a preacher of war. Creed, Callis said, smiling. You finally see the truth. The galaxy bows, Earth rises. Rayon didn't speak. You gave us purpose, Callis continued. You showed us fear as a weapon. Rayon's voice was ice. I showed them we wouldn't run. Callis grinned. Exactly. Rayon took a step forward. No, he said. You missed the point. Then he moved fast, too fast, in one motion. He shattered Callus' rifle, then the COMMs, then the generator. The camp went dark. Callus backed up, eyes wide. You wouldn't hurt your own people. Rayon stared at him. You're not my people. By sunrise, the camp was empty. No one killed, no one missing, just abandoned. Every weapon destroyed, every banner burned and carved into the dirt. You don't speak for Earth. Across the net, footage leaked. Creed taking down a purity directive base alone. Not for glory, not for power, for clarity. To remind everyone what Earth stood for, not control, not fear, survival with honor. But the directive didn't stop. They went underground, started attacking humans who supported peace with other species. Alien embassies were bombed, Earth-aligned colonies faced sabotage, and still they claimed Creed's legacy. Until one day they answered. Not with a message, with a name on every screen. In every corner of the human network, a list appeared. Names of high-ranking Purity Directive members. Photos. Locations. Dates. Rayan didn't give speeches. He gave the truth. Unedited. Raw. And Earth saw the infection. Some were politicians, some were officers, some were media voices. All hiding behind Earth First. All claiming to act in the name of protection. And now, all exposed. Public trials followed. Some ran, some begged. None escaped. None escaped. Judgment. Because Earth remembered something that day. We didn't become strong because of fear. We became strong because we were tested. And Rayon Creed, he was the test they failed. Months later, peace talks resumed. More alliances formed. Earth wasn't feared anymore. It was respected. Because one man drew a line, not against aliens, but against those who wore our face and shamed our name. In a quiet place, away from cameras and ships, Rayon sat alone. In hiding. Just watching. Waiting, because he knew the war wasn't over. As long as there were those who abused power, as long as there were those who wore masks of justice to hide hate, he would walk. Alone. Not for glory. Not for revenge, but to protect something no weapon could touch. What it means to be human. The stars were moving again. Not one fleet. Not one world. An alliance built in secret, powered by fear, driven by revenge, and Earth was at the center of it. The Confederacy was dead in name but not in soul. Its leaders had scattered like rats, but some of its old generals had found new banners. New weapons, and a new plan. They called it the Inoti Front. Ali. It wasn't unity. It was desperation. Species who hated each other were now standing side by side, not for peace, but to erase the one planet that refused to kneel. Earth. And the symbol that made them afraid. Rayan Creed. The attack began without warning. 6 worlds under Earth's protection burned in one night. Satellite networks were hijacked. Civilian ships destroyed. Messages flooded in. Earth lied. The Death Worlder must fall. There will be no peace. On board Earth's orbital command station, alarms screamed. Commander Lee stared at the HOLO map. Red signals flared across the system. This isn't a war, she said. It's a purge. The Unity Front launched their siege in 3 waves. First, strike colonies and relay stations. Second, cut Earth off from its allies. Third, invade. It was brilliant. It was ruthless, and it almost worked until the ghost returned. Rayon Creed didn't ask for orders, didn't wait for permission. He just appeared. One enemy warship was found drifting, its command deck sealed. Dozens of soldiers inside. Tied. Alive. Afraid. A single message burned into the wall. You don't invade Earth, you invite your death. Word spread fast. Even among Unity forces. He's back, they said. He was gone. They lied. Panic hit before the battles did. But fear wasn't enough this time. The Unity Front had numbers, tech, and most of all, hate. Earth's allies began to fall back. Some worlds surrendered. Others went dark. Hope was dying, and the enemy knew it. They sent a message to Earth, a recorded execution. One of Earth's ambassadors broadcast on every channel his last words. Don't become them, no matter what. Something inside Rayon Creed broke that day. Not his spirit. Not his mission. His silence. He made a broadcast. One sentence, no face, just voice. You chose war. I bring its shadow. Then he vanished again. What followed wasn't strategy, it was legend. Creed didn't attack the Unity fleets. He destroyed their fuel depots, their supply lines, their morale. Every time they advanced, something went wrong. Their weapons malfunctioned. Their scouts disappeared. Their captains lost contact with home. It was like the shadows themselves fought back, but it was him still. The siege pressed on. Earth's defense grid cracked. Mars was under bombardment. And the enemy's final fleet endless closed in. The countdown had begun. Commander Lee called one last meeting. Not with generals, not with politicians, with civilians, leaders from colonies, refugees, scientists, traders. We have one chance left, she said. We stop this together or we fall alone. And then she said it. We call on the Death Father for the first time in history. Earth itself asked for Creed, and for the first time, he answered. He arrived in orbit with no army, no backup, just a ship, silent, old, scarred. And when it docked, the room went silent. He stepped out, not in armor, just black, simple, still, and everyone stood, not out of protocol, out of respect. Lee walked up to him. You shouldn't have come alone. Creed looked her in the eyes. I didn't. Behind him, other figures stepped out, not soldiers, survivors, aliens and humans alike. Former slaves, defectors, civilians he had saved across dozens of worlds. They had followed him not for glory, not for revenge, but because he had become something more than a man. He was the reminder that one life can change the galaxy. Together, they made a plan not to attack, but to divide. Creed would go behind enemy lines, strike their command ships, take out their core. If he succeeded, the fleet would lose coordination, then Earth could push back. If he failed, there'd be no second chance. He left that night. No goodbyes. No final words, just a nod to E. And then he vanished into the dark. Hours passed. The enemy fleet arrived, bigger than anything Earth had faced. Mars fell. The moon was under siege. Then nothing at first. No one understood. Then the Unity Front's fleet began turning on itself. Missiles misfired. Ships changed course. Some exploded from within. Then came the transmission. Not from Earth, from the enemy flagship. Creed's voice. You forgot something. Fear doesn't win wars. Truth does. On every enemy screen, he played back secret transmissions, recorded calls between Unity leaders, conversations exposing betrayal, how some species were promised sacrifice in exchange for silence. He showed them the lie, and the lie broke them. Some ships turned and fled, some joined Earth, the rest. Earth's defense grid opened fire. The final siege collapsed, not from strength, from conscience, from exposure, from a ghost who spoke louder than war. When the last ship fell, there was no cheering. Just silence, relief, and one question on every screen. Is he alive? No answer came. No signal, no message, just a dead ship found drifting near Saturn. No crew, no damage. Only one thing aboard, a single carving in the metal. Earth endures. They searched for him. Days passed. Weeks, no trace, only stories. Ship floating near Saturn, empty, silent, scarred, and one message: Earth endures. The war was over. The Unity Front collapsed. Its fleets scattered. Its leaders hunted. But Earth didn't celebrate with fireworks. It mourned, not in weakness, in memory, for those lost, and for the one who never returned. Rayon. Creed had become more than a soldier, more than a legend. He was now a question. The galaxy couldn't stop asking, what happens when one man holds the line for billions? Monuments were built, some small, in colony towns, others massive, carved into asteroid stone. Each one bore a name, but not his name, just a single symbol, the Earth, unbroken. Children learned about him in schools, not as a warrior, but as a choice, the choice to stand when running is easier, to speak truth when silence is safer, to fight not for blood, but for meaning. Years passed, peace spread, slow but steady. Earth formed real alliances, old enemies became partners, trade flowed, hope returned, and yet, the myth of Creed grew. Some said he was dead, others swore he still walked between stars, helping colonies in secret, fighting wars no one else knew about, a shadow of the past, a guardian of the future. But one day, something happened. A small ship arrived at the edge of Earth's system. No weapons, no insignia, just a signal, encrypted, ancient code, Rayon Creed's code inside. No body, no pilot, only a message, no video, just audio, his voice. Tired, clear. If you're hearing this, then I did my part. I didn't fight to be remembered. I didn't fight to be followed. I fought so you could choose who you are, not just as humans, as people, as a world. We were called Deathworlders, monsters, survivors, but we are more than our pain. We're what comes after fear. Don't become me, become better. Earth endures. Now live like it's worth protecting. Creed out. After that, silence. The ship was placed in orbit, untouched. A museum, a shrine, a reminder. Young officers trained under the Creed protocol, a new code of ethics: protect first, act second, endure always. Colonies once divided began working together. Alien species once afraid of humans now stood beside them in councils, science, missions, and even families. But the scars remained. Not all threats were gone. Not all hearts healed. Some still whispered about purity. Some still feared the next war. But whenever darkness began to rise, someone would always ask, what would Creed do? And the answer: he'd show up, even if no one else did. Decades later, a child stood beneath the monument in New Terra City. He looked up at the statue. It wasn't Rayon, Creed's face. It was just a man. Worn, calm, human. But the child looked at his mother. Was he real? She smiled. He was the most real thing this world ever knew. In the stars above, ships flew peacefully. No sirens. No war. Just exploration. Just progress. And far beyond them, in a quiet part of space, a figure watched. Not young anymore, not armored, just a man, breathing quietly. Eyes forward. And whispering to no one. Earth endures.